As you've seen by the intro, I've become a figurative clown. It all started when I was a 6th grader. It started off as a typical fall November until I had gotten my hair cut on the second Saturday of November. When I went back to school following that weekend, I experienced heavy bullying. I got slapped in the head and laughed at so many times. If I had gotten paid, I would have been able to buy a new iPad. I won't go into details about my experience being bullied in the 6th grade because I'll talk more about that in my limited series The Bounce Back coming this April. The first time I ever felt like a clown was a few days after I had gotten my hair cut. I asked my teacher if I could go and talk to the counselor. She said yes, so I walked down 3 flights of stairs and walked in my school's main office. The main office was where the counselor's office was inside of. When I was about to enter the counselor's office, 2 students coming from some other office were leaving the main office, but when I passed them they were laughing at me. I went to the counselor to tell her I was getting bullied and I needed help with solving the issue. I didn't think anything of that interaction for probably 2 months. 2 months later I found myself around toxic people again and they would bully me. I didn't do anything to them, I wasn't friends with them, and didn't even know most of their names, but they treated me like dog poop. The reason I felt like a clown was because when my hair grows out it kind of looks like a clown wig and I make people laugh. Unlike a clown or comedian, I am not trying to be funny by walking in a room and getting roasted and laughed at. Also, they didn't respect me and thought it was okay to treat me however the hell they wanted to and never knew when the hell to stop treating me like that. There were plenty more times I felt like a clown. When my mother worked on the daytime shifts at her old job, she used to come home around 5 to 6 p.m. So if my sister had somewhere to go, I would have to go with her because I wasn't old enough to stay home by myself. My sister wanted to go to her female best friend's basketball game. She told me I was going. I told her I didn't want to go since I had homework. She made me go anyway. I did my homework and my sister watched the game. About 45 minutes into the game, one of the team's players was pointing at me and laughing at me. Of course, this was during a stoppage of play. Unlike some other times where I didn't think anything of it, this time I was angry and was hoping that the team would lose the game. I had a $5 gift card to Chipotle a few years back. I decided I wanted to buy a burrito, so I went to Chipotle. My family lived about 2 blocks away from Chipotle, so I walked there. When I got there, I got in line and waited until it was my turn to order. I was making my burrito, but at the rice station 2 female employees were laughing at me. I didn't notice that until months later when I felt like a clown again. I think all 3 of those moments happened when I was in the 6th grade. I'll skip over 7th grade year, and my next moment started on the first day of 8th grade. A tradition that used to happen on the first day of school for me was my school bus never showing up. And on the first day of 8th grade my school bus didn't show up again. My family doesn't have a family car, so I rode the public transit bus to school. My mother took me because I was kind of a baby. We had to walk for like 20 minutes to get to my school. When I got there it was probably 8:45 a.m. I walked in the main office and asked where my first class was. I walked to my first class and opened the door and walked in, and everybody laughed at me. They were making jokes, roasting me, and pointing at me. They were so loud when the teacher asked me what my name was she could barely hear me. It was one of those moments where you couldn't believe what just happened. For about 2 weeks, every time I laid in bed about to go to sleep I thought of that moment. Thankfully that hasn't happened again, and probably because my school bus has showed up on the first day of school. The next moment happened on Christmas Day that same year. I went to the movies with my godmother to see Spies in Disguise starring Tom Holland and Will Smith. When we arrived at the theater, my godmother went to check something out, so I stood in line. I was just standing there minding my own business. Then a group of young women started looking at me, then started to laugh at me and said I looked like someone they knew. If my godmother wasn't there I would have cursed every single one of them out. I would have probably thrown something at them. I'm not tough, so I would have ran, but I didn't care if I saw their movie if I was able to stand up for myself that day. It was back in January. I was at school walking through the halls from my 7th period class. I had to go through the school cafeteria to get to my 8th period class. My school had 2 lunches for a couple of weeks and we were still on the 2-lunch system. So when I walked through the cafeteria, a group of students were standing and talking, and once I passed them they started to laugh and one of them said "shut up" to another student in the group. I walked in the hallway to my next class and the same thing happened again. The second group even had a member say "shut up" to one of the members. I felt like a complete idiot for no reason. We are still in a pandemic. I won't go into detail about the pandemic or politics, but I recently had an issue that was related to the pandemic. It happened on a cold January morning. I got off the school bus. I opened my book bag for the school security guards and walked through the metal detectors. Since the pandemic is still going on, once you walk through the school metal detector there is a machine that checks your temperature. It looks like a giant computer screen with a camera pointing at you. When I stood in front of the machine the screen turned red. The machine turns green when you have a normal temperature, orange means you are a little warmer, and red means your temperature is too hot. If the machine says your temperature is in the orange or red zone, the school security guard will manually measure your temperature with the thermometer pointing at your forehead. The security guard checked my temperature manually and I went to collect my backpack, and some of the other students from the bus were laughing at me. Even though it was the beginning of the day, I felt like my week sucked, and that week inspired me to make this video. What do all these moments have in common? They made me feel like I was a clown. I felt like an idiot. I was just there to amuse everybody. The worst part is people look at me like there is something wrong with me even though they laugh at me for no effing reason. I try to move on but I just can't. I don't wear the clown makeup or the wig, but the outfit is permanent on me. So what should you take away from this video? Treat people how you would want to be treated. If you treat people how you would want to be treated, you wouldn't dare disrespect another person. Thank you for watching my special clown video. I hope you have a wonderful day. Subscribe, like, comment, share, and watch more of my other videos if you enjoyed. I'll see you later.